Hi, Peter.
Hi, Joseph. How are
Sorry,
you?
I have to join you online today.
Okay, good. It's good. And Lucy had bad healthy condition. So please pray for her too.
Okay, will do.
Yes. Okay, so you're gonna perform today?
Yes. So we're
Okay.
preparing the food and
Uh-huh.
then we'll perform the
All right.
show.
Uh-huh.
So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I wanted to join it.
Yeah, I wish you could.
Oh, sorry about it.
I thought this was going to be at the Shoja.
All right. Great.
Oh no, this is the master's lecture that was on the 8th.
6.
Oh, 6th.
Yeah. And then I'll show you one topic regarding the lecture today. We Happy Science was interviewed by Wall Street Journal,
Oh,
the newspaper. Yeah, because um like this. So to start with today's service, I'm sharing this topic regarding this lecture today by Master Hokawa. All right. So the situation now in Japan is against all religions in Japan because of assassination of Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister in Japan, former Prime Minister. Okay. Can you see this?
yes.
Yeah. So I read this. Japan clamps down on Moon Church's fundraising. Parliament bans high pressure tactics cited by suspect in Shinzo Abe assassination. So they expanded this kind of individual issue to universal issue of religion due to their um, popularity in the poll decreasing. So I'm reading it. Tokyo, Japan's parliament on Saturday passed a law that bars high-pressure fundraising tactics, a measure aimed at the church founded by the late Rev. Moon Sun Myung. The law's final approval came just 5 months after the July 8th assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, triggered a reappraisal of the former Unification Church, which until the killing had ties to many ruling party members, while drawing real public attention. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, whose support ratings fell sharply after revelations about the ties, rushed the legislation through parliament in a bid to push the issue behind him. He has also ordered a first of its kind probe into the church that could lead to it being stripped of its legal status and tax deduction. The suspect in the assassination, Tetsuya Yamagami, said in online comments and a letter sent before the assassination that he held a grudge against the church because he believed his mother's involvement with the church had ruined his family. The mother declared bankruptcy in 2002 after donations that topped the equivalent of $700,000, according to Mr. Yamagami's uncle. Mr. Yamagami told police that he targeted Mr. Abe because of the former prime minister's connections to the church, which included speaking to church-linked groups. The law won final passage in Parliament's upper house Saturday and will take effect by early next year. It bars religious groups such as a former Unification Church, now known as a Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, from taking advantage of followers' anxieties or fears in soliciting money. All right, such and such. And then Happy Science comments is quoted like this. Here, some call the law an unconstitutional infringement of religious freedom. Happy Science, a religious group established in Japan in 1986, said the law will put religions under the complete surveillance of the government, violating the separation of church and state. Mr. Kishida said the law's drafters took into account the constitutional protection of freedom of religion and aimed only to prohibit malicious fundraising practices. One clause says, the government must respect religious and political freedom when enforcing the law. The government of Mr. Kishida has been buffeted by criticism related to the church. In polls, a majority of voters opposed a state funeral Mr. Kishida ordered for Mr. Abe, with some saying the late former leader didn't deserve the honor. A government minister resigned in October after giving shifting explanations of his ties to the church. The approval rating of Mr. Kishida's cabinet fell to 33% in November, the lowest since he took office in October 2021, according to public broadcaster NHK, like this. So you see the behind scenes of the bill, to raise their popularity in the poll, to preserve themselves. So its law is not aiming correct way. Yeah, but they try to protect themselves, and it violates the constitute of the separation between church and state, right? Okay, so we think that Happy Science considers the former Unification Church to be an evil religion. However, the current issue is that the shooting incident of former Prime Minister Abe, a crime committed by a single individual, has been switched into an issue of imposing legal restrictions on the entire religion. We believe this case is not an organized crime by a religious group like Om Shinrikyo 1995. Also, religious donations are spiritual discipline. It is neither consumption nor contracts, and have nothing to do with consumer contracts. Regarding the new bill to save victims, Japanese religious groups will become under the complete surveillance of the government, and it violates the constitutional principle requiring the separation of church and state, which stipulates that government must not interfere with religion. This is also an infringement of religious freedom, and it is unconstitutional. We believe that legislation should be enacted after a serious court case, not a crime committed by an individual. All right. So based on this article, we will go on to the master's lecture in the biggest venue in Japan, December 6th, to start with reciting the true words spoken by Buddha. So I'm not showing the screen, the true words spoken by Buddha. So please prepare in your hand the sutra, true words spoken by Buddha together, reciting together. Right, let's take a bow to Lord Kantar. The true words spoken by Buddha, Ryuho Kawa. There used to be the light in the great universe. The light is the energy of Buddha. People can live by this energy. And Buddha's energy has made human history to be supplied eternally. This eternal light comes from heaven and prevailed on earth. This is the light of heaven. Through the prism of Buddha, there appeared the 7 colors of rainbow, arching over in the sky. Here you can see Buddha's mercy. Yellow is the color of teaching. White is the color of saving. Red is the color of justice. Purple is the color of obedience. Blue is the color of thinking. Green is the color of harmony. Silver is the color of progress. These 7 colors help each other, and there appears Buddha land. Buddha land is shining brightly because of gathering of bodhisattvas. This is the land of love or the land of mercy. This is the land of wisdom or the land of teaching. Especially, this is the land of souls rest in peace. Real souls are the children of Buddha. The children of Buddha became real human beings. Real human beings have spirituality. The spirits are immortal powers. The spirits are immortal forces. The spirits are real entities. The physical bodies are the shadows of the spirits. It means you're the boat sailing down the great river. Great river is the symbol of course of lives. Each of you sails down at a small boat, so you need a boatman. If it were not for your own boatman, you surely go aground. This boatman really means your mind. If your mind makes a mistake, the boat breaks into pieces by a large rock. And you also need a bamboo pole. This pole is the meaning of the true words. When you go down the rapid stream, you need to pass in a stream. Then you can change your course. The true words means the teaching of Buddha. Buddha enlightened and spoke the true words, and Buddha's teaching became a gold mine. This gold mine suggests various teachings. Need another expression of Buddha's truth. It brightens up your days. Or to put it another way, the fruits of Buddha's mercy. All of you now hear or listen to me. Never lose your way now and forever. The guiding hand has already waved. Please follow this white hand. It goes steady on and on. Your lives are not limited to this world only. They have 3 aspects: the past, the present, the future. Your past have already gone by, yet still your mistakes will be kept in your minds. That is the reason why you should understand other people, and you yourself should reflect on what you have done. You and others are not different. On the contrary, both are children of Buddha and brothers and sisters. Now then, love each other. Let us bring up each other, and it's time to forgive each other. This is the eternal law which penetrates the present and the future. Yes, indeed, the light of the dark night. The dark night of this world is hell. It is also the same in another world. Since we came down to this world, the sun of the truth is scheduled to rise. Now we are watching rising sun. It will show light to the future, to invite sad people to Buddha land. Now here I command. There shall not be conflict in this world. There shall not be distrust in this world. There shall not be crime in this world. There shall not be evil spirit in this world. There shall not be the devil in the next world. Only the ideal world, utopia, shall be realized. All of the people love each other, live harmoniously, believing in one another. The world is utopia. All of us could be the light of bodhisattvas. Believing that light has reality. Believing that love has reality. Believing that the truth has reality. These are the facts that should be conveyed. With the light of bodhisattvas, get together, work together to keep right mind and live in tune with Buddha's work. Here we vow to do so. Okay. Right. So as I showed you the article from Wall Street Journal, Masaru Okawa is speaking about his subject while he's carrying the sensitive matter about the pressure on Japanese religion in Japan. So every mass media watches it, the lecture in the same venue. So he uses his humor to say the matter of the World Cup of football for Japan and Croatia fighting each other in the midnight the day before of the lecture day. So please understand his true intention to say about the football game. Yeah, he is not willing to say that, but the traditional Buddha is said he has 10 names that represent his wisdom. One of 10 names, the traditional Buddha has the name of the one who knows worldly matters very well. So Master knows well about worldly matter as well as religious matter, of course. So he has another view from the spiritual view, but it's worldly view of the people living on earth so much. So he understands well about it. And he is handling the sensitive issue about religion under the circumstance in Japan right now. So you can see his wisdom in the lecture too. So he's covering every urgent matters going on in this world in his 1 hour lecture. Please be very careful to listening to the lecture. Start it with the song dedicated to him, his lecture first. So it's for 1 hour and 10 minutes from now. Let's listen to the lecture. With our gratitude to the Lord El Cantare.
天声ありて我に問う汝心に 何自身に己を捨てて生きるや我天使に答えて言う我人のために生き我人のために死に我愛のために生き我愛のために死なんと天に再び声ありて愛とは何ぞやと我に問う天使よ愛とは我なり愛とは人なり我は人なり人は我なり我は愛なれば人もまた愛なり愛は神なれば神もまた愛なり天使再び来たりて問う人はいかに生くべきかと我天に向かいて天使に答う人を愛し人を生かし人を許せこれが我が心情ないとそこで天使はさらに問う人を愛し人を生かし人を許すそれで主人を見てるかと我答えて言う愛せい教は第一の教えなりしかしね第二の教えは人を信じ世を信じ神を信じようということなり天使この時うなずけり天使よと我は言葉継ぐさらに第三の教えとは死心死愛死生ないと死心は真理に至るということ死愛は愛の極みを知るということ死生は清く生きるということこれすべて努力の教えなんここで天使喜 苦しみ悲しみも悟りに至る曲がり道悟りを神の与えたる至福の王道神の道この時天使に愛をして我も再び口ずさむ真理を悟りの一段階愛を悟りの二段階聖は悟りの三段階そして悟りを神の道懐かしきふるさとの道母の
Good evening. It's a cold day today, but thank you very much, everyone, for coming.
皆様お集まりいただきまして誠にありがとうございます。
Today's theme is Making the Way to True Salvation.
宗教の本道を歩むというテーマになっております。
I chose this theme because ever since this summer,
今年の夏から日本での
there has been a lot of debate in Japan over how religion should be and how to determine good and evil religions.
数多く起きたことが原因となっております。
Happy Science is one of the leaders of all existing religions.
一つであります幸福の科学からも
So I'm sure many people are interested in hearing some opinions from us as well.
お気持ちも ある方が多いのではないかと思います。
There's 180,000 religious groups in Japan, but since I don't know them all, I can't comment on each one of them.
私も一々についてお答えすることはできませんし、世界にもまた
There are many religious groups in the world as well, and I don't know about them all either.
それ全て内容を知っているわけでもありません。
Simply put, the way to true salvation is happy science, or to join happy science. It's simple.
といえばまあそんで終わりでは
But at the level of the efforts and achievements we're currently
こ
making,
のぐらいの努力では許してはくださらないのでは
I don't think people accept that. I humbly take it that way.
おります。
Christianity just says if you join Christianity, you will be saved, and that's all.
救われます。
The English translation of today's lecture title is Making the Way to True Salvation.
私のこの日本語とはちょっとズレはあるんですけれども、
But it doesn't exactly match my Japanese title.
この学に入ればもうそれで救いにまっしぐらですよ。
This English title gives the impression that we are saying, as Christians do,
現実としてはまだまだ
join happy science and you'll be saved straightforwardly.
ですので、
In reality, however, our effort is far from enough. We're still not at a level to talk only about happy science and declare that it's the only way to true salvation.
ではないかと思います。
So today I'd like to talk about my thoughts at the moment in relation to this theme.
まあ思うこと考えること、この36年間宗教として
While organizing in my head what I'm feeling and thinking, and what we've done as religion over the last 36 years.
同じ点で考えていることをお伝えしたいというふうに考えているものです。
To start off, there's one thing I want to say. Whether a religion is right or wrong,
けども宗教の政治やとか、あるいはこれこそ
or the answer as to what is true salvation, cannot be determined by the public opinion poll.
世論調査のようなもので出るものではないということはこれ前提
This is a prerequisite of my talk.
だと思うんです。
The essential work of religion is to set up a certain order, pave the way, indicate.
無名と言った方がいいと思いますが、数多くの前を
Which direction to move forward, and teach that to the mass of many nameless people who are lost in their ignorance.
一定の秩序を作り、道を作り、歩むべき方途を示すものです。だから
So even if people categorize the many opinions and determine what is right,
どうであるかというようなことの集合を分類して
based on the mainstream idea or the majority opinion, it may not necessarily be the true answer.
答えにはならないというふうに思っております。
In a sense, religious truth is completely different from the principles of modern academic learning and politics.
全く違ったものであるし、科学の原理とも
It's also different from the principles of science.
考えております。
In the world of religion, it may sometimes be the case that only one person is in the right,
正しいこともありえます。
and it can take 500 or 1,000 years, or even 2,000 years to find out what was truly right.
時間がかかる場合もあります。
So I don't think that what is right will be 100% appreciated, understood, or accepted right now, in the present moment.
理解されたり受け入れられたりすることはないというふうに考えております。 In
reality, when a new religion emerges, it's definitely because the common sense or majority opinion
必要は必ずその時代の現時点の
in a particular era or at the present moment is straying from the truth.
間違い始めているということと関係があると思います。
So historically, new religions are often suppressed and persecuted.
多くありますし、迫害を受けることが よくあります。
It is unfortunate that at times some were correctly approved by the later generations after being re-examined,
直されて正しく認められる場合もあれば、歴史の中に
while others have faded into history.
数多くあります。
From heaven's perspective, numerous archangels and
天上
angels,
界の目から見れば、
or in the Japanese context, great Tathagatas and Bodhisattvas have descended on earth.
大如来、如来、菩薩たちも
But unfortunately, they were defeated, persecuted, suppressed, or eliminated, one after another throughout history.
消えていっている歴史で、その正反対のものが勝って
In many cases, the opposite forces won over them.
あります。この
It's very difficult to teach what is right and what is wrong in a given moment.
段階で何が正しくて何が間違っているか、それを示すのはとても難しいことです。だから
It is very clear that it cannot be determined by a statistical majority vote.
決まらないことだけは明らかであって、皆様方がその
To know it, you must keep on examining with a pure mind whether the truth being taught is really
問
true.
われる愛は本物であるかどうか、その説かれる聖なる心は
Whether the love being taught is really true,
これを
and whether the Sacred Heart being taught is really true.
見続けなければわからないところがあるのではないかと思います。
Ever since this summer, the Japanese media has been criticizing a particular
日
religion
本だけではなく外国にも広がっている宗教
that is spreading not only in Japan but also overseas. So I think on the whole, religion is put in a difficult situation.
困っている状況ではあろうかと思います。
At present, discussions seem to be underway in the Diet about setting a legal cap on donations.
いいんじゃないかとか、そんなふうなところで話
But
し
to put it straight, such an issue has nothing to do with religion itself.
全く宗教には関係のない議論です。はっきり言えば。
It's different from regulating political funds. They are not the same.
だから
It's ridiculous to bring about the issue of consumer contracts. It has nothing to do with religion.
宗教は宗教
Religion is not about consumption, nor is it a contract. If you want to call it a contract, we could say it's a contract between God and humans.
成り立つことはありますが、
But no human being in this world can actually make a contract with God.
だから
A basic human attitude must be to accept and follow God's teachings.
基本のスタイルかというふうに思っています。
It's easy to make judgments that the religious group, which has been an issue since the summer, is an evil religion.
その論拠もたくさん持ってはおりますけれども、お互い立場が違えば違ったも
And there are many grounds to support that idea. But when we stand on different grounds, we often see things differently.
許されている理由、信教の自由が許されている理由も
We are granted freedom of speech, publication, belief, and academic
自
learning
由な土俵で戦わせれば
based on the belief that human nature is fundamentally good.
間違ったものが駆逐されて
People believe that if free competition is allowed, what is right will surely prevail while what is wrong will perish.
西側と言われる
The Constitution of Japan is based on this belief, and so are the Western values of the world.
だから
So instead of deciding right or wrong based on mass media statistics,
宗教の中にあるものを
it's necessary for people in religion to share their ideas and have many people make judgments as to what is right or not.
多くの人に判断していただく必要があると思います。
Unfortunately, however, as you can see from the
過
past,
去を見れば分かりますように、四大聖人と言われた
even most of the four great saints were not fully accepted during their lifetime.
完全に受け入れられたとは言い難いところですね。
The four great saints were Shakyamuni Buddha, Jesus Christ, Socrates, and Confucius.
少しとでございますけれども、
Confucius only served as minister of justice or legal affairs in his home country for a year or so.
大臣でしょうか。一年
After that, he wasn't employed. He wandered different countries looking for work as a government official,
求めたけど大臣になれなくて、
but he couldn't find a position as a minister. Only his teachings were widely used, by future generations.
まあ
Confucius had a group of followers, and he was said to have taught around 3,000 people.
まあいたんではないかと言われて
I hesitate to say this, but his group was probably smaller than our happiness realization party.
実現とより小さかったでしょうおそらくね
I shouldn't have mentioned that. If it's a problem, then please edit this part out.
都合であれば後でここだけカットしておいてくだされば、幸いでございますがこう
The political party founded by Happy Science has many more supporters than his.
数多くいることはおります
Socrates gave brilliant and eloquent defense,
ソクラテスの弁
known as the Apology of Socrates.
まあ見事なとうとうたる弁明を
It has been passed down through history and is still read today.
まあ現代まで読み継がれているものでありますけれども
Socrates was judged evil and given an opportunity to defend himself.
そして弁論の機会を与えられて
But despite his magnificent speech, more people called for the death penalty after his speech than before
やっ
it.
た後の方がさらに死刑にせよという声が増えたというまあご存残念な
Such a regrettable thing really happened.
起きております
It's a shame of humanity, but people have been reading it for 2,500 years without repenting on such a mistake.
していないんです
Only the fact has been handed down because they don't know how people felt in those times. Socrates was charged with teaching about a god that wasn't one of the Greek gods.
ということでこ
He was also charged with misleading the Greek youth, and for both cases, he was declared guilty.
告発されてこの両方とも
Socrates was accused of teaching about a non-Greek god.
どうもギリシャの神として
The main god was Zeus, but Socrates' teachings were different from those of Zeus. Indeed, they were different.
思いますよ
Zeus was a god who spent time in pleasure.
遊び歩いて神になれた方ですから
He was said to be omniscient and omnipotent, but if he was here today, he'd fall prey to the gossip weekly magazines.
です
What good did he do? To cite a similar case, the time of Zeus is very much like the Tokugawa era when warlords tried hard to have children,
自分たちの話をやって
as depicted in the NHK historical drama. Other than that, there's nothing particularly important.
ありませんね
He was admired only because he was said to be a god.
ですね
And then there's Jesus. A church is now built on the hill,
まあ今はその
so you can't see the exact spot of Jesus' crucifixion in this world.
見ることはできませんけれどもサレ神戸の丘と
But he was crucified on the place called Golgotha, stabbed in the side with a spear, had his legs broken, and was buried.
ちゃんと死ねるように足まで折られて、墓に埋められた方です
I sometimes try to imagine what it was like. I'm sure it was painful.
まあ
I myself want to work hard until I die of natural death as much as possible
自分のぐらいまでは頑張って
and accomplish what I have to do before passing to another world.
思ってはおるんですけど
That was the worst thing humanity has done. It's way beyond shameful.
恥を通り越して、まあ、最低でしょうね
It was the worst out of the worst. It's a mystery that the Jewish race still survives to this day. However, Jesus was also a Jew.
まあイエスのユダヤ人である
If you deny Jesus, then you can also deny the Jewish people.
でしたらまあ
But since you can't deny Jesus, you can't also deny the Jewish people.
ユダヤ人も否定できない
Jesus thought of himself as a Jew,
ユダヤ教徒だと自分では思っていた
believing himself to be a Jewish Messiah. He lived his life, gave teachings, and died.
そして生きて教えを説いて死んだ方ですよねだからまあ
But his contemporaries, even the very pious people, couldn't understand him.
されなかったとまあいうことですね
Among the four great saints, I think Shakyamuni Buddha was relatively successful.
比較的大成した方には近いんではないかとは思います。
He met what could be called persecution a few times,
ものもあったことはありましたですけれども、当時としては
but he continued to give his teachings until the age of 80.
現代では120歳
This is the equivalent of 120 years old in modern times. He lived a long life and continuously gave teachings.
最後の教えま
Even the teachings he gave in later years remain to this day. So in a way, his life was successful and a happy one.
ではあったのかなというふうには思います。
Gautama Siddhartha, or Shakyamuni Buddha, left Kapilavastu and renounced his status as a prince.
自分の国であるところのカピラバストを出てですね、
He became Buddha after undergoing 6 years of spiritual training and conquering the devil.
修行してやっとゴーマ浄土して
And his teachings then spread widely.
なったわけですけれども、その教団の教えは広がりましたが、
But because he left his parents after the death of his father, the Shakya clan was destroyed.
出家した釈迦族の500人だけ
Only 500 people from the Shakya clan, who became monks and nuns, survived.
後ろの方に
Those who remained in the castle in Shakya kingdom, which was a vassal state to Kosala, were all killed.
皆殺しになっているわ
But I do think some of them managed to escape.
けいるとは思うんですよ。
We have believers named Shakya in Nepal.
釈迦さんという釈迦
They are most probably descendants of the Shakya clan, so I think there are some who survived.
生き延びたんだろうと思いますけれど
But it is said that the Shakya clan was annihilated.
になっております。だから、
Shakyamuni Buddha's mother-in-law, wife, son, and some young people became monks and nuns.
それから青年たちが出家しました。
But the kingdom itself was destroyed in Buddha's time.
だから同時代
It perished during the time Buddha was still alive. Devadatta revolted when Buddha was about 72. It was a tragic year, and I think it was around that year.
そう変わらない時期だと思
The Shakya kingdom perished. It perished before Shakyamuni died at 80, so the price he paid was indeed tremendous.
いますので、代償は大きかっただろうと思いますね。
He must have grieved deeply.
ありませんよね。
I'm not sure if the kingdom could have survived had Shakyamuni Buddha succeeded as the king.
残れたかどうかは定かではありません。
There were 16 other kingdoms that were stronger than the Shakya kingdom, so it could have been destroyed regardless.
あるんですけども、
So there's nothing in this world that remains forever.
恒常的なものがなくて、
Something that was thought to remain forever in this transient world perished fleetingly.
だと思われていたものが消え去っていったということですね。
So Shakyamuni Buddha also made a sacrifice.
45年の説法を続けて、ある程度の
Although he was able to continuously give a good amount of teachings for 45 years,
王様の後を継がなかったことにより国自体は滅びた。
his kingdom perished as a result of him not succeeding the king.
四大聖人とも
In this way, the 4 great saints all experienced sadness,
諸法無我の
the impermanence of this world, and the egolessness of all things.
ないかなというふうに思ってます。
So it's extremely difficult to judge whether something is the truth or not,
それが真理かどうかを判定するのは
based on the successes and failures of this world.
あろうかと思います。
Many people whom we sent from heaven as saviors were not accepted in this world and disappeared.
方でもこの的には認められないで、消えていった方も、数多くおります。
It's disappointing. It's really a shame.
残念だと思います。
About 100 or 200 years after Christianity started,
活躍したマニっていうか、
Mani was able to make his religion a world religion at one point.
生きている間に今度は
But while he was alive, he faced attacks from Zoroastrian followers and was sentenced to death by being flayed.
ことになっていますね。
Aurelius Augustinus, who once believed in the teachings of Mani,
アウグス
repented for having believed in an evil religion and wrote the book Confessions.
告白という本を書いて、
This book is still being read, but Manichaeism was not an evil religion.
邪教ではなかった。
When Jesus was crucified, the heavens thought Christianity had failed and sent Mani down next.
失敗したかなと思って次に送り込んだ。
But just as they thought Christianity had failed, it started to gain power 200 to 300 years later and began to expand.
来たということですね。
Zoroastrianism is said to have been started by Mani's former incarnation.
もんだと言われており、
So Mani was destroyed by the very religion he had preached in his previous life.
自分が滅ぼされるというようなことが起きる
It's hard to believe such a thing can happen, but it actually did.
ということですけれども、現実には起きていますわね。
In China, the Taiping Rebellion happened in the 1800s, and Hong Shu-xuan was sent from heaven as a messiah or savior.
起きて、 公衆禅という方が、メシアとして
He started rebellion against the Qing dynasty to destroy it and fought. The Qing dynasty lost in a war against Japan.
革命を起こそうとして戦ったんですが、結果は日本と戦えば負けてしまったような。
But it stood strong against religion, and it is said to have killed 50 million followers of Hong Shu Chuan.
公衆禅についていった方は5000万人ぐらいは亡くなったんではないかというふうに言われています。
That's a huge number of people. I feel that is something close to the fate that Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan might face in the near future.
迫っている運命と似たものを感じることはございますね。
Therefore, I want you to understand that basically, not everything will be accepted as the right thing in this world.
認められるというようなことは基本的にはないと思っていただきたいと思うんですよ。
But under such conditions, how can you find something that rings true to your soul?
共感するよう
I want you to consider this.
に見出すことができるかどうか、それを考えていただきたいと思います。
In this world, you may be rejected, attacked, criticized, or may not be accepted on certain occasions.
非難されたりすることもあるでしょうし、認められないこともあるでしょう。
Many people don't think well of religion.
対して面白く思ってない方も数多く
Some religious groups are now being labeled as evil religions and are being forced to dissolve.
解散させられておりますので、
So 20 to 30% of the people may be thinking, after we're done with the Unification Church,
ここの学問でやっちゃえとか
let's do away the Soka Gakkai and Happy Science next.
いるでしょうね。
It's fine for them to think this way, but we'll try our best not to lose. We intend to work hard not to lose.
おります。
Thank you.
ありがとうございます。
Especially in regard to national defense in Japan, only 13% of people think the nation should defend itself.
世界最低の国ですので、国防なんか
This is the worst percentage in the world. I assume many people think that it's wrong for religion to promote national defense.
大多数の中には多いのではないかなというふうに思います。
I'm fully aware that such arguments exist.
分かっておりますけれども、
Look back at what I have continued to teach in the last 30 years.
続けてきた内容の中で振り返って考えて見ていただきたいんですけれども、
I could say it was mostly correct. Things must have turned out as I said they would.
言ってた通りになってるはずなんですよ。
Very few people outside Happy Science verify and admit that things have truly turned out the way I said during these 30 years.
外側の人は少ない
But the people inside understand.
ですけどね。
Did you want to applaud? Then go ahead. Now North Korea launches its missiles repeatedly and develops nuclear weapons.
北朝鮮がね、ボンボンとミサイル撃ったり、
So the Japanese government finally decided to buy 500 Tomahawk cruise missiles from the US in 5 years' time.
アメリカから500本ぐらい買おうとかいう。
It was in a recent newspaper. In 5 years and 500 missiles. I hope it won't be too late. I hope it won't be late, but what if North Korea does something within the next 4 years?
なんかされたらどうしましょうかね。
What if they make a move in 2 years? I have been giving a warning for 30 years, but the government hasn't listened.
ないので、5年後で間に合えばいいですねと。だけ
Now I just say, I hope 5 years won't be too late.
距離のミサイルとかも
The government also says they'll develop long-range missiles domestically and prepare a minimum defense.
だとかいうようなことを言っております。
I'm not sure whom these comments are meant for.
発言ではありますけど、
It makes me a bit dizzy to think that people who are 30 years behind Happy Science are in the ruling party.
クラクラっと
But we mustn't get conceited. We mustn't think we're smarter than them.
頭がいいなんて絶対思ってはいけない。
Thinking such things will only invite oppression. I'm sure they are all intelligent people. I bet they all believe nothing bad will happen in life or in the world. They're just happy as long as they can live through each day.
いらっしゃるでしょうね。
They're happy-go-lucky people. They probably are satisfied if they can watch the World Cup and survive each day.
見れてご飯が食べれたらもうそんでいいんでしょうね。
I'm not trying to put shame on them. Today at midnight, the game between Japan and Croatia started.
日本とね、クロアチア戦がありましたよね。
It was tempting, wasn't it? The lecture today starts at 7 p.m., so you may have thought you could watch just 90 minutes.
0時からもう90分ぐらいやったらまあいけるんじゃないか。
You could snooze a little at work or say you are feeling under the weather.
ちょっと体調が悪いとか言いながら、まあ、出てくる
Then you could make it. It's hard to resist temptation.
勝てないですよね。
I thought I mustn't be tempted and get to bed before midnight because I have to work the next day.
やっぱり12時前にもう寝に入らなきゃいけないと思
But I couldn't sleep until 1 a.m., so I ended up turning the TV on.
ってしまいましたけども、
I'm afraid I can't scold you. I couldn't sleep anyway, so I thought it would be okay to watch and ended up doing so.
見ておったんですが、まあ
I expected it to end in 45 minutes, but it kept going. It was supposed to be a 90-minute game, but they added an extra 30 minutes.
まだ30分。
Another 30 minutes. What if it affects my lecture tomorrow, I thought.
今日ですね、影響出たらどうすんだとまあ思ったんで
But it still didn't end after 30 minutes.
す。終わらない。
Then came the penalty kick. I couldn't believe it.
なんちゅうこと
The dawn would break at this rate.
そうじゃないかこれで
What if I start dozing off in front of everyone and ruin the lecture?
講演会に差し支える恐れがあって、みんなの前で国
I'm supposed to be telling everyone not to watch soccer.
いうことし、皆さんね、そんなサッカーなんか見るんじゃない
I'm supposed to tell people to focus on religion. I felt this wasn't good,
かと思いつつずるずる
but I continued to get dragged into watching the game.
これはやっぱり
In the end, I knew this was wrong as a religious leader, so I decided to watch it as I sleep. I slept on my side, covered myself under a blanket, and while half asleep, opened my eye for the important parts.
体をまあ
I didn't expect the game to last so
取
long.
られるとちょっと思います。
I wouldn't say it was dawn, but it was almost 4 a.m. That would leave us with no time left to sleep. After 2 hours of game and the penalty shootout, I finally realized that
PK 戦まで見て、PK 戦見てやっと分かりましたよ。
Croatia was strong. I couldn't tell until then. Both teams were playing well, so I expected Japan would make one more goal.
見てたんですけど、
But the Croatian players were all big.
なんかでかい
They were all big men, so I wondered what they usually eat. Maybe they have huge cows in Croatia.
思いながらまあ背が高い。
They are tall and big, and the way they were warming up with the ball was tremendously good.
遊び方がちょっと尋常でない。
Their legs are much longer than Japanese players. They looked very strong. The game ended in a tie.
思いながら一対一で来てるか
But during the penalty shootout, it became clear that the Croatian team was stronger.
ら強い。
The difference was great. Japanese players' kicks were low to the ground,
こればっかり蹴っても
but the Croatian players kicked the ball up in the air to make the PK goals. PK results were 3-1, but I thought Japan could have been defeated in the game by the same scores.
差はあったかなと。
That's how different their strengths
あ
were.
ったっていうのは
Japan did great to end the match in a tie, so I congratulate them on their effort.
選手団に思いつつ、
On the other hand, Happy Science has members in Croatia,
この科学の信者がいるんですよ。
so I congratulated Happy Science members and everyone in Croatia for their victory also.
いう気持ちを送って、
This is what becoming a world religion means. You cannot just cheer for one side.
片方だけ応援できないんです。
Croatia has players too,
だから、
so I cannot just be one-sided. In Croatia, a soccer player is the most popular job,
人気の
so I felt happy for them to have been able to receive their recognition on the world stage.
いい体格で何食ってるか本当
I just want to know what they are eating to build their bodies.
体見れば負けそうな感じは
If it wasn't a soccer game but a physical fight, Japan would have lost for sure. There are more such cases.
思うんですけどね。まあ、こんなことはいっぱいあ
The
り
more worldwide Happy Science becomes, the more restricted I become on things I can say.
制約がかかってきます。
For instance, the Russia-Ukraine war started.
ウクライナで戦争を始めた。
We have a branch in Russia, and they are watching now through the live broadcast, though there may be a slight lag.
州は見てる。
So I cannot openly criticize Russia.
公式にはね。
I can say things indirectly, but not explicitly, because it can upset them.
ですがロシアがまあ一応
Internationally or in Western society, it is said that Russia invaded Ukraine.
侵攻していると言われている、まあ、ウクライナ。
But we have Happy Science members in Ukraine too. So what should we do? Will Ukrainian members leave Happy Science? If I speak well for Russia, Ukrainian members won't be happy. Happy Science has many members in the EU countries also.
あっちもこっちもいっぱいいる。どこを応援して
They are everywhere, so I can't support one or the other.
やれなくなりますね。だから
My followers are always on both sides of conflicting groups.
対立する理解の両側に 私どもの教えについてきている人たちが存在するんですよ。だから
Currently, Ukraine is receiving weapons mainly from the UK and France to gain an advantage.
武器の供与を続けて、なんとか戦争を優先に
However, it's difficult to judge whether this move is right or
あ
not.
るわけでありますけれども、まあこれも本当に
Have already expressed unsparing opinions on this matter.
判定は下しにくいことですね。まあちょっと厳しいことになるのか
What I say is different from the mainstream media.
私は言っています。
I believe this Russia-Ukraine war was unnecessary.
戦争なんて必要なかったと思ってるんですよ。
There was no need for it. What should they have done? If Ukraine had declared to remain neutral, there wouldn't have been a war.
倒すといえば戦争なかった。
That's all.
たったそれだけのことなんです。
It's as simple as that.
だから
I understand the president wanted to join the EU.
大統領さんがね、EU 側に
I also understand how he wanted to fight against Russia using NATO's military power.
ロシアと戦ってみせたいみたいな気持ちを持っていることはまあわかるけども、
But it was obvious from the outset that Russia wouldn't stay silent.
ことなんでね。まあ
This war wouldn't have happened if Ukraine maintained a neutral stance.
まあバイデンさんがね、武器供与な
It was Mr. Biden's strategy to use Ukraine,
おらず NATO にも NATO にも入っておらない
which is not a part of the EU or NATO, and start a skirmish against Russia by offering weapons to Ukraine.
ロシアとの前哨戦始める作戦をまあ持っとったということですね。
Then the US would be able to recover its economy without suffering any damage.
なるであろうということですね。
And here in Japan, most of the media and scholars believe that the rest of the world understands
そうでしょうけども、核兵器
how terrible nuclear weapons are, based on what happened to Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II.
したことで、こんな非人道的な兵器は実際
Japanese people simply believe such inhumane weapons would never be used again.
信じているのは日本人ですよね。
But in reality, many countries are developing nuclear weapons. They wouldn't do so if they weren't going to use them.
ありませんよね。
They are doing so in case they have to use them.
いるんでしょ
Perhaps they possess them to threaten other countries that they might use them
う。通常兵器の
if they can't win with conventional weapons.
という脅しでも
So the Japanese common sense is nonsensical to the rest of the world.
世界の非常識で
Russia hasn't used nuclear weapons so far.
使ってませんけれども、
But if the US, the UK, and France continue to supply weapons to Ukraine and prolong the war,
戦いが長くなっていって、もし
and if Russia is driven to the point of surrender with conventional weapons, they might resort to nuclear weapons.
たら核兵器使うことだってないとは言え
This is a fact that we should all know.
ない事実ですよね。
It's wrong to assume that supporting Ukraine will bring them victory.
活動を持っているなら間違いで、
It could actually bring about a worst-case scenario.
あるということですね。
Another issue is that Kyiv is the holy land of the Russian Orthodox Church. It is Jerusalem for Russia.
してるんで、だからロシア
The Russian Orthodox Church started there. For Russia, Kyiv is a must-protect location.
抑えてない
If Kyiv became independent or got taken by the EU, it could cause the next Crusades, which could last longer.
まで続くかわからないところなんですよね。
Also, when Mikhail Gorbachev was the president, he owned a second home in Ukraine where he often vacationed.
別荘を持って
So you need to know that Ukraine is not a completely foreign country to Russia.
関係なんだっていうことも知っておいた方がいい。
I wouldn't say any more about this because it could cause more trouble.
言いますとトラブルが多くなるんで言いませんけど、
It seems that many people believe that the EU is stronger in a war.
言うのが強いだろうと思っている方が多いようではあるけれど、
But the UK and France only have about 300 nuclear weapons each, while Russia has 6,000 to 7,000.
ロシアは6000発から7000発持ってるんですよ。
So EU will lose if they fought against Russia.
負けるんですよ。
Russia will defeat them in an all-out fight. You should know that. People in Japan firmly believe that no country can use nuclear weapons, and they seem to believe that repeating this belief, like a mantra, will bring them victory. But in an all-out war, Russia will win. Only the US can evenly fight against Russia. Only the US can. However, the problem is Mr. Biden. To me, Mr. Biden only looks like a two-headed alien. I can only see him like an alien with two Godzilla heads, but I won't reveal the secret today.
方なんです。もうその秘密は語りませんけども今日は。
I won't because many people are listening to this lecture now in dozens of places in the US as
あり
well.
ますので言いませんが。
Even though my political opinions are similar to those of the Republicans,
発言もよく知って
there are more Democrats among Happy Science members, so it's not easy for me to express my opinions.
前回ト
I supported Mr. Trump in the previous election, but the majority of Happy Science members in the US are supporters of the Democratic Party.
やりにくいっていうかもう政
It's
治
very difficult when religion is involved in politics.
まあ感じですよ
The Democratic Party says a lot about human rights, so those with an affinity to religion tend to join as supporters.
そちらの方に入りやすい
There are many Hollywood stars I'm a fan of, but many of them are Democratic supporters.
人支持者いっぱいいるんですよね。
I feel very conflicted. While I continue to enjoy their performances as entertainment,
まあ片方は政治的にいやこっち
I voice different political opinions, saying this is the right direction, so it's very difficult.
まあ思っておるんですけど、
What if Mr. Trump had won the last election in 2020?
ですね、大統領選でトランプさんの方が勝ってたとして、
He won a historical number of votes as a Republican
こ
candidate.
の大統領候補としては勝ってない票
So let's simulate what would have happened if he had
彼
won.
がなってたらどうなってたかっていうことをシミュレーション
First of all, North Korea wouldn't have launched missiles this often or developed nuclear weapons further.
たり核兵器をどんどん進めたりしてやってなかったでしょうね。
This is for certain. Mr. Trump was doing a great job. He had talks with North Korea and said, let's not fight anymore. There will be no future with nuclear wars. Look at Vietnam. The communist country has developed now after embracing the market-based economy.
ベトナムみたいな国にならないかというようなことで
Kim Jong-un thought maybe North Korea could be like Vietnam with Mr. Trump on his back.
いたんですね。だから
North Korean missiles are a major crisis for Japanese security.
日本の
But their launch was made only during the period before the US midterm elections, and it stopped after that.
中間選挙が終わったら撃たなくなった。
They don't want to waste their missiles. They shot missiles before the midterm election,
共和党支
which shows that these were the fireworks expressing their support for Republicans.
トランプさんに
They want Mr. Trump to return because they can negotiate with him.
話ができる
Mr. Biden won't come to North Korea because he is scared. He is cowardly.
だから
He will never cross the 38th parallel to enter North Korea. He won't meet Mr. Putin either because he's scared. He's old and weak-willed,
気が弱いからね。
but he wants to look good.
隠しいです。
In this respect, Mr. Trump is a great man.
ところ
Japan is now saying that it will buy 500 Tomahawk cruise missiles and develop long-range missiles.
開発するって言って、まあ
I don't know if they'll make it in time or if it's just going to be a waste of money.
お金ただ損するだけなのかわからないようなことや
But if Mr. Trump was the president, this would have been unnecessary
いらなかったこと
because North Korea might have tried to become like Vietnam.
かもしれない。
The same is true with the Ukraine issue. Mr. Putin and Mr. Trump got on well, so this too could perhaps been resolved over the phone. If before the war Mr. Trump had talked directly with Mr. Putin, it probably would have never happened. But now we don't know how many people have died in this war.
何になってるかわからないですよ。
Neither Russia nor Ukraine reveals their true death tolls. It's going to be a big problem if this war drags on like this.
特にウクライナの大統領さんはちょっと
In particular, the president of Ukraine knows how to look good on
い
TV.
らっしゃるので、なんか NATO、
It seems he is trying to make Ukraine look democratic by joining NATO and the EU.
まあ、共同体の方に入って、なんか民主化した社会の一員のように
But Ukraine is by no means a democratic nation.
ウクライナ自体は決して民主国じゃないですよ。
It has now become dictatorship completely. Adult men can't leave the country,
出れないんですから。
and they are told to fight to the death. This is similar to the situation in Japan toward the end of World War II.
なっているわけですよね。だから
There is an issue of which side the mainstream mass media support.
マスコミの主流がどっちを応援するか
They may support one side based on the ideology they have upheld to this day.
してたかその流れで今もやってるということがまあ
But ironically, the reality can turn in the opposite direction to what they had intended.
なることがよくあるっていうまあことですね。だか
There
ら
are many cases when you can't judge one side as 100% right.
ありますけど
However, as you can see from the opinions I gave in the last 30
過去
years,
30年の見て ていただければ
I've been able to foresee the future to some extent. Please know that.
知っていただきたいんです。
I may not be 100% right, but I almost never mistake the trend of the world.
間違うことはほぼないので、
So please consider what Ryuho Okawa is saying.
福岡流法は何を言ってるかというようなことはよく斟酌した上で、
I have believers on both sides of the conflicting countries,
日本化
so I feel torn when I have to send a message to support either side.
そういう
Even so, I sometimes dare to say my opinions.
応援するような
Please understand this situation of mine and try to accept my words by thinking. What he's saying is probably important, as he's still saying despite being aware of the situation.
していただきたいと思います。
Had Mr. Trump continued to be the president, he would have concentrated on China's issues only.
がまあ対象となったと思いますね。
We Happy Science are fighting hard against China,
激しく戦っています。
while sometimes singing, Farewell, Shang Shang. The song says, Shang Shang, if you don't like totalitarianism, if the Chinese bamboo is not your taste, or if you aren't pleased with your arranged husband, you can come back here at any time. This is a kind of resistance movement. We don't want Shang Shang to go back.
帰ってほしくなかっ
She was very pretty for a panda.
た。美人だった。
She was cute. She had showmanship. She had the power to improve the economy. She could gather 4 million people with her cuteness.
演技ができた。可愛い演技が
Even actors or singers couldn't act as cute as she did.
ぐらいの可愛さがあった。
It's a shame.
もったいないですよね。
Ueno Zoo Park may well become desolated.
おかしい
I shouldn't just talk about Shang Shang.
まあ上海、シャンシャンだけのことを言ってはいけないとはまあ思いますけれども、まあ
Actually, pandas live in various areas, so they don't belong to any specific country.
言っておりますから、まあどこの国のものかは分かりませんけれども、まあ500万年前には
5 million-year-old panda fossils were found in Spain, so panda has a really old history.
化石が見つかったりもしておりますので、実際はもっともっと古い歴史を持っているということをまあ
Our spiritual reading has revealed that too.
例さしてまあ言っております。
Going back to the topic, making the way to true salvation, there is one point that can't be neglected.
ところに話を戻していきたいんですが、絶対に外してはいけないことがまず一つございます。
Now, the world is becoming convenient. Science is advancing.
これは今こう日本も同じ方向に進んで
There are lots of useful things in the economy and politics. Japan is also heading in this direction.
的にまあ進んでいったり、あるいは、経済的
I think the majority of people like the way that the world is advancing because it's convenient.
自体はまあ好きな方が多いと思うんですよね。便利ですからね。
That's a good thing. However, as this world becomes too convenient, people tend to disregard the other world.
という方向に進んでいる傾向はございます。
This is where scientism and materialism are heading.
向かうところですね。
We have published the book, The Laws of Hell, and it's available today. It's the law series for next year.
いると思いますけれども、まあ来年度のシリーズの中心でありますけれども、地獄というものは
Even if science advances, rockets are launched or bullet trains are running.
新幹線が走ったりしたからといって、
Hell still exists, and so does heaven. I want you to know this.
天上界というものもなくなっているわけではないんだと。
Medical science has advanced, and smart people go on to study medicine. They are working hard to cure illnesses and extend people's lives. The average life expectancy increased after World War II,
それはある程度優秀な方が
which means smart people are succeeding in their jobs. But you must know that not a single person can live forever.
ただの一人もこの世に生き続けることはできないということは知っておいてほしいと思う。
Your life may extend by 10 or 20 years, but everyone will 100% die one day.
必ず全員が 100% 死ななきゃいけない。
There are people who believe that their life ends in this
この
world
世だけの命しかないと思って、この世だけ便利
and are happy as long as they have enjoyed the convenience and pleasure of this
に思っ
world.
ている方と、この世を過ぎて先にまだ
Others believe that life continues after death and reflect on how they should have lived in this world.
ならなかったかということを考えることができた人と
The difference between these people is big.
ということですね。
If you just look at the efforts and achievements you made in this world, Not all of them are rewarded.
見れば必ずしも努力が全部報われるわけではありません。
A cause doesn't necessarily bring a certain outcome in this world.
ありません。
However, when you look at the bigger picture, including the other world,
原因と結果は必ず
cause and effect will definitely match perfectly. That's the world God created.
神仏の作られた世界であるんです。
People's life expectancy has increased, but the other world still exists.
キリスト教で
Christianity doesn't teach enough about this.
生まれてくる前
But the truth is, we have souls and had a spiritual life before being born on earth.
事実なんです。
This is taught in the laws of hell, and I will continue to teach about this next year to complement it.
教えを説き続けていく、つもりであります。
Don't take it lightly.
いかんぜやと。
It's hard to translate this Japanese phrase. Don't underestimate it.
ダメじゃいかんぜよは訳せないかもしれないが、甘く見てはいけない。
Don't take religion lightly. Religion has continued to exist for thousands of years, for as long as humans know,
歴史としての何千年間
because it contains something true. Otherwise, it would have perished long ago.
あるからなんです。
It would have perished long ago.
消えてますよ。とっくの昔
If people only thought of cutting costs or holding back on donations to save money for their living expenses.
とっくの昔になくなって、
But the reason religion doesn't perish is that the other world really exists.
であれがあるとしたら、じゃあどうしたらいい
So how should we live if the other world does exist?
問題ですね。
And what I say is quite simple. I'll narrow it down to the most essential points.
もうごくごく絞って言いますよ。
I actually want to say that faith is the most important.
言いたい。
But since some of you might have a shallow understanding of religion, you can leave that aside for now.
で浅い理解しかしていない方もいるから、それは後に回してもよろしいです。
You can take time to grasp faith, but before that, I'd like you to understand this.
結局どういうことかっていうと、自分のために世界が
If you think the world exists for you and you wish to preserve yourself, or in other words,
成功して繁栄して、
if you think that only you should succeed, prosper, and attain happiness or pleasure,
天上界という世界に
then unfortunately, you won't go to
他
heaven.
の人のために
But if you wish to live for others, to make others happy and the world better,
世の中をちょっとでも良くしようと生きようと
even a little, then you'll go to heaven. It's this simple.
いうことなんです。
It's whether you are geocentric or heliocentric.
天動説、
Geocentric means the sun and the planets revolve around you, while you, the earth, stays still.
止まってて、自分の周りを回ってるだ
If
け
you think so, you'll go to hell.
奥行き、
If you think the earth is the one revolving around the sun, then you are heliocentric.
太陽の周り回ってるんですよと思ってる地動説思ってる方、
This is the condition for you to go to heaven.
天国に行ける条件なんですね。
Which do you think is true? You live on earth, but you don't feel as though it's revolving around its own axis in 24 hours.
一周してるなんて、
If it did, the wind would be blowing hard and it'll feel as if you'd be thrown into outer space.
宇宙空間に飛ばされてしまうと。
And if you watch the sun, it rises from the east and sets into the west.
いつもこれやってるじゃん。
The sun revolves around earth. That's how humans thought for ages. But the reality was different. The fact was made clear once we traveled to outer space.
事実ですね。
Similarly, if you can see this world from the perspective of the spirit world, you will know the obvious fact.
疑うようのない事実としてあるということです。
Geocentric people who think the world exists for them or revolves around them will likely go to hell,
地獄に行きやすく、その反対で地獄
whereas those who think they must take action for the world will likely go to heaven.
天国に行きやすいということを一つ知って
Please know this as one checkpoint.
思います。
So if you think earthly pleasure is all and everything, then unfortunately, you'll meet harsh consequences after you die.
あと命があった時に大変なことが起きるということですね。
Materialism and scientism are prevalent in education. I'm not sure who has the right to say this.
誰が答える権利があるかわからないけれども、科学
But if someone were to scientifically conclude that the other world and spirits don't exist,
言い切る方がいらっしゃるとしたら、全体的な流れとしてはそんな傾向がある。
which seems to be the general trend, then they'll face serious consequences.
いや、大変なことになってるんですよ。
Manufacturers are rapidly producing new things and making the world more convenient.
利便性、メーカーどんどん働
But if you think souls in the other world don't exist, And if earthly convenience is your happiness,
よかったと思った方はこの世を終わった時に
then you won't have anywhere to go after you die because you don't know of the other world.
ないから行くところがないんですよ。
I've been saying that there are heaven and hell, but it no
Right.
longer seems
I'm
that
doing
these
a
two
online
worlds are
session.
all there is.
Yeah.
感じがするんですよ。
From what I see, many people believe this third dimension is all there is, and such people are dying, one after another. And since they have nowhere to go, they stay in this world and think that this ground is their home.
Okay.
It would be rude if I
Okay,
say
okay.
they live on the ground. I
Just
guess there are buildings,
doing a prayer
elevators,
session after
and a
this.
space above the ground.
Yeah, just
But what I
for
mean is they think this
15
world
minutes
is
or
their
something.
home.
Yeah.
They go to neither heaven nor hell. There are more and more such people every
can
year.
join.
It's a serious problem.
これね大変なんです。
They live in the fourth dimension, but they can see the people living in this world. They can see the buildings.
人間の姿が見えてるんですよ。
Just one
They can see you
one
working and
person
hear
is
your
coming.
voice, but their words
then
can't be heard by all of you
Prayer
living in
session
this
for
third
15
dimension.
minutes.
3時間
That's
生き
it.
てる皆さん方には聞こえない。
Only some people can see them.
ほんのごく一部の方だけなんですよ。
A small number of people can see and hear them, but others can't confirm that.
ということはあるけども、それは確かめることはできない。
It can't be confirmed by science because according to the rule of science,
それが
something is true only if the result is the same every time and for every person.
ない。
But people who died are still in this world indeed.
このように言いますよ。
They are attached to their families, their workplace, or the place where they died, besides heaven and hell.
だから天に
There is this worldly hell now, and many, many people are going there. What can we do about this? They are living with us in this world.
だから一緒に共存している。
Because of this, I'm sure you're not feeling well, or things aren't going well for you.
次から次へと
And you might be experiencing it quite often. We need to reduce them.
いけないですよ。
I want people to go to heaven.
いただき
But if you can't, please decide on the hell you must go to and continue your spiritual training there.
していただきたい。
Are you going to live as a devil forever? Or are you going back to heaven? Please understand this for yourself.
悟っていただきたいんですよ。
To take a Korean example, are you going toward God or toward Park Il-do? You must choose.
向かっていくか。
Park Il-do is a devil-like spirit. Sorry, he's a character in a Korean TV drama.
ドラマで流行ってるんです。すみません。余計なこと言いました。
You don't need to watch it because it'll be a waste of time.
結構ですけども、まあパクイル
Park Il-do is a boss-like devil, and he goes on a serial murder.
連続殺人を起こす
I've watched a few episodes, so I couldn't help talking about it.
言ってしまうんですが、
There's no such devil, it's just a symbol.
一応象徴ですね。まあ
But South Koreans at least know that a devil-like being exists, which is good.
っていうことを知ってるだけ、まあいいですよね。
A lost spirit is making the people in this world unhappy. Koreans can air such a story on TV, which is a great thing.
まあすごいことじゃないですか。
They're better off than Japan on this point.
まだ環境はね、
Maybe it's because they feel that death is closer to them. Now, in this world, there are many spirits who know nothing about heaven or hell, or who don't realize that they're dead.
理解できないでいる人が
Among them are many with a high educational background and many scientists.
多いです。
Many of them have received advanced education and think they're smart. Many of them are rich people. We want to reduce the number of such lost
そ
spirits.
うしないと
Otherwise, the principle that connects this world and the next would not work completely.
完結しないんですよ。
So making the way to true salvation means
言えば
to clearly show the rule that applies through this world and the other world.
幸福があの世の幸福につ
The
ながる
rule is that the happiness in this world leads to the happiness in the other world.
私は思っています。
To this end, I've written over 3,500 books. I've accomplished this much.
3500冊は超えて、まあそれ以上の本がもう出てきているわけですけども、これだけの実績を積み上げてきました。
However, they've yet to reach the whole world.
届いてはおりません。まあ
I'll keep going, but the population is growing faster, so it's not easy for my teachings to reach all people.
届きません。だから
The important thing is to spread the teachings one step or two steps further.
大事であると思います。
Making the way to true salvation means to make the happiness in this world the same as the happiness in the other world. That's the answer.
尽きるということです。
Thank you very
ありが
much.
とうございました。
Yes.
Yeah, only. People are
Yes, yes, he is the same one. Oh, yes. All right. Okay. Do you have any comment, Joseph? No. It's Joseph here. Yeah.
Oh, that was wonderful. Great to hear Master's wisdom and teaching.
All right. Yeah, many things were covered by the lecture, so you cannot say specifically.
Well, I have to watch again because it's so
Yeah, yeah.
deep, but I really like his uh, telling of the four great spirits and what they had to go through during their time. And
Right.
that it was challenging in their
Uh,
era, and it took
yeah.
hundreds of years, if not 1,000 years, for it to be clear what's the true
Yes.
teaching.
Great finding. Yes, in that point, we need to know 50% of the population on Earth will go to hell right now. So Master Master needs to reconsider the system of reincarnation to be considered to be continued or not. So this is the situation on Earth. We are now perishing the civilization and restart the new civilization in this situation. Yeah, and then addition to that, the spirits who cannot go to heaven or even hell strayed on this earth. So that causes the health problems with us. That's the most cases of humans' health bad conditions. Yeah, that is what we are facing right now with the corona pandemic. But not only that, the spiritual causes can cause health problems to us. Yeah, because of the stray spirits not going to heaven and even hell. Yeah, knowing this fact, we need to urge to spread this truth throughout the world, even though it's one step or two step farther. We cannot stop and we need to proceed the steps, right? And second point we need to confirm today is the prediction about nuclear weapons will be used in the next year. It's probably likely to happen. So that was stated on November 20th in his lecture in Shikoku, his birthplace. So he said we need to watch today's lecture and the next lecture on January 8th. So I'll show you next Sunday from the January 8th. So we can grasp what's going on, what will go on the next year about nuclear weapon. Because he cannot say clearly the things in that lecture in public, but he can preach internal lecture on January 8th, more clearly declaring the threat or danger in nuclear weapon war. Yeah, he needs to say that in the next lecture. Yeah, he avoided to be known as a threat from religious side, but it's the fact. In fact, we need to know it's coming nearly for nuclear war to be held next year. Okay, but we know we are not gonna be afraid of that. We are the ones who avoid the situation from happening, right? Okay, thank you so much for joining today. We'll move on to the prayer service today. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master. Welcome. Now we are dedicating our gratitude to the Lord and move on to prayer service. Loda Cantare, Master Yuhokawa, the primordial Buddha of the great universe, the Messiah of the earth, and the God of love, who also created space people. Thank you for giving us your infinite light through another year. We disciples are very grateful to receive the El Cantare celebration special lecture, Making the Way to True Salvation, on December 6th. On this year, to save as many people as possible, you gave us many lectures, spiritual messages, Kyotens, including the laws of Messiah and the laws of hell. For the next year, music, songs, poems, and movies. To spread Messiah's love all over the world, we pledge to fulfill religious activities, political activities, educational fields, entertainment and cultural fields, and international activities with a transparent heart. Now let us offer our sincere gratitude and pledge to the Lord. Let's play a session. Kazuyo Sugiyama. Toshiko Hines. Setsuko Nomi. Chie Fukuhara. Beverly and Mercado. Yuko Luke. Mick Matsuda. Peter Foucault. Prayer for exorcising evil spirits. O Lord, may you grant me the power. O Lord, may you give me the force to exorcise evil spirits. O Lord, El Cantare, no evil spirit can withstand you. No devil can defeat you. O Lord, please assist me. O Lord, please fight beside me. light, cross, light, cross, hail, come, forward, white, light, cross, light, cross, hail, come, forward, white, Oh Lord, I thank you very much for your guidance. Pray. Kazuyo Sugiyama. Vivali and Mercado. Chie Fukuhara. Masahiro and Masako Risland. Prayer for recovery from illness. Oh Lord, El Cantare, in the name of the Lord, nothing is possible. All evil spirits fear the Lord. Every cause of illness must dissolve in the light of the Lord. Oh Lord, may you change your light to love and cure my illness. I believe in you, oh Lord. You're omniscient and omnipotent. Ramu, Thoth, Rian our crowd, Ophelis, Hermes, Gautama Siddhartha. Our Lord El Cantare, the omniscient and omnipotent, please pardon our wrongs. Give us the energy to live by, and courage and hope. Hail, contrary healing. Hail contrary healing. I thank you for your guidance. Kazuyo Sugiyama. Prayer for success. Lord Hermes, may you give me the strength to progress. May you let me feel the breath of success. With you as my ideal, I wish to become like a clear wind of love, blowing through all the world. Or Hermes, please give me success and make my dreams come true. Thank you for your guidance. Kazuyo Sugiyama. Prayer for economic prosperity. Oh Lord, you're the guide, the light that illuminates our future. Oh Lord, you're almighty. Your wisdom makes even our economy prosper and builds a new civilization. Oh Lord, please allow me to help your work. Please open the path to economic prosperity. Show me the path to glory and guide me to the path to success. I thank you very much for hearing my wish. Emma Fukao. Success number one prayer. Ryuho Okawa. Lord, we, students of success number one, are very thankful for the happiness of studying together at the needs of the Lord, guided by the Lord's light and teachings. We are all truly happy that with our Dharma friends, at times we can challenge and encourage each other and also help each other. Lord, we students of success number one, pledge to unite our tiny powers to realize the Lord's ideal, creating Buddha land utopia on earth. Every day, we will make efforts, discipline ourselves, and contribute to create utopia at home. As one of our family members, Lord, we students of success number one will think that studying is also our spiritual training and develop the power of perseverance, concentration, and self-control. Lord, may you open up a path of glory in front of us. May you bless us so our thoughts will definitely be realized. Lord, we thank you very much for hearing our success number one prayer. Lord Alcantara, please guide us with your great light. Lord Alcantara, Master Ikokawa, the primordial Buddha of the great universe, the Messiah of the earth, and the God of love, who also created space people. Thank you for giving us this precious opportunity to pray for you in person. Please guide all of us who took the Kigan today to participate in actively realizing the utopia on earth with our wholehearted efforts and mission. Let us take a moment to give our sincere gratitude to the Lord. Lord Tantare, thank you very much for your guidance and life today. All right, thank you for joining today's service Kigan session. Thank you so much. So we published already the newest book, The Challenge of Enlightenment. So we got this book already, and we will study it from the next year. So I'll come back to the service on January 1st, the New Year's ceremony. So let's meet again on January 1st, New Year's Day again. Aloha, mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you, Peter. Aloha.
Thank you. I pray for your success today.
Have a good trip.
You too. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.